Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Sina Ghaznavi, your foreign policy curious host, and we are a show joined by guest host Travis Irvine this week about foreign policy and all the gory details that are happening in geopolitics. Hopefully we make people laugh every now and then.
Why bother?
Why bother? What's the point?
What's the point? Cry more.
Don't want to do it. Travis, I'm tired. I was just on vacation on the East Coast.
You did a great job on vacation.
Thank you. Did I?
Yeah, I heard you crushed it.
I vacated.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted still, so if you see the bags, sometimes I will put a little under eye on, but
Just do what I do and wear fake glasses. I don't look tired at all. I look smart.
People, do you still think he's hot with his fake glasses? He just unmasked himself.
These are actually real. They're readers. There's a very small prescription.
Oh, interesting.
But it hides the bags.
It does hide the bags. But you have good, perfect skin, Travis Irvine.
Thank you. And so do you.
I am, before I get to what we're going to cover today on the show, please send us an email, theforeignreportlpn@gmail.com with a question. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll have a link to that in our episode description. You can also find links to the news stories that we're covering today. Rate us and subscribe to us on all the podcast platforms that you're listening to this on. We also have a newsletter at our website, which you can get the link to in the episode description as well. We do a little update because we are recording on Wednesday, June 4th, and so by Monday we give you a little update on everything that's changed, which usually means that
Everything's changed.
Set everything on fire.
Right.
Today we're going to talk about this last weekend. The Ukraine military did a very elaborate drone strike, so we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
We're also going to talk about Elon leaving the White House.
He's out.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The current status of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire negotiations, a little talk on the Iran nuke deal, maybe some Hexa stuff, and then also JD Vance.
Oh, what?
Every week.
It's pretty astounding, honestly.
It's just, I can't believe it. The best thing. Someone should do a supercut of all of our JD Vance stuff.
Oh, okay. And then send it to the email.
Yes.
Please.
Okay. So I want to explain something to you, Travis, because
I saw this peripherally
yeah,
in my news feed, but I didn't, I was like, Cena will explain it to me.
it's insane. I'm honestly in awe and frankly a little bit scared by how the Ukrainians fundamentally changed the dynamic of the war using free open source software to wipe out over a dozen Russian bombers and other air defense planes. They did it with zero casualties on either side. And in the progress, they literally changed how wars will be fought in the future.
Wow.
We're going to take you through how they did it,
Right.
why they did it now, and what decisions Putin will have to make in the future.
I'm ready. I'm buckled up. Let's go.
Buckled up.
Last time I saw Zelensky, he was not wearing a suit,
No.
and he was at the Pope's funeral. And little did we know, he had a real cool plan up his sleeve.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I don't think he texted that plan to anyone in the United States.
Right.
There was no signal chat.
Yeah.
There was no phone call. He did not let anyone know.
If he did text it, it would have been in Ukrainian, which is impossible to read for normal Americans. So he would have been fine.
So maybe you've heard the drones. Have you seen that the Ukrainian? You've seen the drone strikes they've done, right?
Yes, and I know that's, again, one of their bigger weapons in this new age type war.
Yes. And it's crazy because this, them being able to do this has been this very, incredible move by them to level out the war. And since the beginning, they've been really developing all their drone capabilities. They have a bunch of technologists both within Ukraine, and then all these ethnic Ukrainians from the United States and Europe are actually coming in, and they're all technologists. They're coming in, they're helping them build drones.
Wow.
And all this drone capability. And so they use cheap drones that cost several $100, unlike the ones we make here, which are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And here's the thing that I found out is that they've been striking in the battlefield, of course, but they've also been sending these drones at night and striking Russian soldiers. And the Russian soldiers, and I didn't know if you know this, but this is now mythological.
Wow.
The Russians are calling these drones Baba Yaga.
What is a Baba Yaga besides, I assume, a delicious Russian dish?
But I'll tell you what. I felt like I heard Baba Yaga somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, do you remember Baba Yaga? Does that sound familiar to you? Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Adam, our engineer, remembers the Baba Yaga. So where does this come from? I'll show you. None other than the mythological creature, John Wick.
What?
It's not what you did, son, that angers me so. It's who you did it to.
Who? The fucking nobody?
That fucking nobody is John Wick.
Oh my God.
He
John
was
Wick?
an associate of ours.
What?
We called him Baba Yaga.
What is a Baba Yaga?
The boogeyman?
Well, John wasn't exactly the boogeyman.
Here we go.
He was the one you sent to kill the fucking boogeyman.
What? Oh my God. I was not expecting some John Wick stuff in this. How exciting.
When I read it, I was like, I have to remember. And I was like, of course, it's John Wick.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
Good memory.
It's incredible. And the fact that, of course, in the movie, they're like, this is the one who kills the boogeyman. But it's like this old Slavic, mythological, nightmarish creature.
Right.
There's other different interpretations of it as well. But Baba Yaga, they are really terrified.
It comes in the night and you don't see it coming when it attacks.
And then boom.
Wow.
Okay. So how do they go from like these single drone operations doing attacks on the battlefield to a multi-airfield attack across different regions in Russia, across 3 different time zones?
Wow. Do tell.
Well, they built on those drone capabilities, and they pulled some open source software that was developed not by the military, not by Hezbollah or some non-state actor, but by some drone hobbyists 20 years ago that wanted to make their Lego robot fly.
You're kidding me. I love Legos.
Well, these
You
guys
telling
really
me-
love Legos.
Right. They've got a whole new level of Lego love.
The software's called ArduPilot, and it started in 2007. And on the site, guess what the site was called? DIY drones.
Oh my gosh. You can't make this stuff
You
up.
really can't. So I found this from 404media.com, the really good website on this tech news and stuff. And they did a whole write-up on the guys who wrote this software. Because as you'll see later in the show, the video footage has the logo of the software. 'Cause they're just using it in all the videos. So these guys rigged 117 drones with explosives. They got these drones, they put them in wooden containers at the top of these shipping containers and put them on trucks. So imagine like a shipping container, ones that you would like, make those like cool hip houses out of and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So they put them in the roof level.
This is what I did see in the news.
Yeah.
The pictures of these drones hidden in these little box houses.
Exactly. And according to Zelensky, they were preparing for this attack for like a year and a half.
Wow.
And
oh man, that guy's so cool. He was just sitting in the White House, Oval
Sitting
Office, just be like, I'm going to fuck up this whole fucking war. You don't even know you're yelling at me.
And so he even said that his headquarters for the operation was in Russia, across the street from Russia Intelligence HQ.
That's so cool.
Which we can't confirm, but that's like,
Right.
even if it's not true, it's a beautiful troll.
Right,
Like,
yes.
Go for it.
Yeah, just say it, and then they're going to go kill everyone across the street. Putin's losing his mind.
So with this very easy to use software, they were able to have all the drones piloted individually by drone operators. And the key here is that, one, it's open source, so that like all these other developers and people were developing it over decades now. And the thing about it was this software in particular works really well over long distances. No lag, right? If you're a gamer. No, the ping is low.
Right.
Okay, so it was a really good piece of software to use. When it came to attack day, they triggered the roofs of these containers to open.
Oh my God, that's
And
so cool.
each of
Like a
these-
convertible?
Like a convertible. Each of the drones flew to an airfield and exploded a Russian military asset.
Wow.
Okay, so
What?
I want to show the New York Times did a great
Oh yeah, we
write
got
up.
footage, pictures. Give me anything you got.
yeah.
I'm all juiced now.
It's just so good.
This is when my accidental pro-war side part comes out. And I'm just like, they did what? It goes boom.
Okay, so the New York Times did a really good write up on this, and I want to show you the map first of what they did. And you can see the 5 different regions. If you're listening, I'll explain it. Don't worry. So first in the farthest northwestern region, there is this big air base where they destroyed at least 5 planes at.
Wow.
Then
And that's right by Finland, like on
Yes.
the Finland border.
Exactly. And then near Moscow, there were 2 other air bases. And then in the far eastern side of Russia,
Very far away.
in or like above China,
Yeah.
there was like 2 other places where they destroyed 7 planes there. And now Zelensky said they destroyed a lot more, but that's not super confirmed yet. They had satellite imagery that they'd used to confirm that. So
And those amounts sound small, 5 planes here, 7 planes there, but these are like major parts of the Russian
I'm so glad you
Air
brought that
Force.
up.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. These planes are not just like regular planes. These are bombers.
These are the premier.
And these are the ones that are sending over those cruise missiles. Whenever we started the start of the war and all these cruise missiles were coming in, these were the planes that were firing those cruise missiles.
Wow.
These are also the planes that deliver nuclear weapons. And they're also planes that are early air defense planes.
So these are
as
heavy
well.
duty.
These are all incredibly important. All right, so here's the big video that's been going around social media. You probably saw it. You could see in the top of it, and I'll explain it for the audio listeners as well, Pilot logo at the top, which is so funny. These guys, these nerds, were like looking at their software being used in the most elaborate military strike in human history.
Right.
And so what we're looking at right now is this like bird's eye view of a drone hovering over one of these bombers.
And how high up do we think this drone is?
Several hundred feet. It's 60 meters. Look, you could even see it's
Wow.
going, yeah.
Oh, right.
And so it's like slowly traveling down. And by the way, no one's around. They're just slowly descending upon it. We're getting closer.
It's like
and
leaving your car
closer.
unlocked on the street. Like, I'm just like, what are you doing parking that plane there?
And then boom, it explodes. And
Crazy.
all of these things are happening. And it's like incredible. This is happening across 3 time zones and 5 different air bases. And one of the things I like that has been happening with our kind of newsosphere now is that places like the New York Times have to explain to us where they got all their information from. And so they were going and finding satellite footage. They obviously pulled this video footage, and they're really showing their work here, which I think is really important because people like me don't actually believe the New York Times and everything they say all the time. Because a lot of times they would just take, and I'm sure a lot of people at home know
Anonymous
this,
sources say.
well, they would also just do a single sourced government source.
Right.
And so
And
that,
sometimes anonymous.
yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
okay.
All right, thanks.
Sure.
I'll take your word for it for my like whatever monthly subscription. And then here's another video that's been going around online as well. You can see the drone flying out of the shipping container.
Whoa.
Again, we'll put all the links to this in the episode description. But I think this is nothing more terrifying than seeing a drone just float out of a shipping container.
If I was driving behind a truck and a bunch of drones just started flying out of it, I'd be like, I'm gonna get off of this next exit. I'm just gonna slow down.
And meanwhile, there's smoke coming out of the airfield nearby. So like they already did a couple of the bombs, and then more are coming out of the shipping container.
This is bonkers.
This is crazy. Okay, and then of course you gotta make sure that it self-destructs. Mission Impossible style, after all the drones are launched, the shipping containers were set to self-destruct.
Oh, that's so cool.
Nothing.
I don't want to skip ahead, but it's almost like the plan went off without a hitch.
No one died.
0 casualties except giant expensive planes.
Dear BB, you can
right.
do
Oh,
military
yeah.
operations without killing everybody.
Right.
Zelensky said they got 41 aircrafts, like I was saying. That's like a third of their air capabilities. Satellite photos right now are confirming like 15 to 20. they also, so these drone operators did the operation within Russia, but then were immediately pulled out. And so none of them got caught. This is costing Russia billions of dollars, dollars that they don't have to spend to rebuild and make new ones.
Right.
And so this is like, and this, talk about a return on investment. These drones, a couple $100.
Well, see, now I feel weird about us giving them so many billions of taxpayer dollars. And it's like, well, you could have just done this with
We could have sent you $1 million
I
of
could
drones.
have sent you the budget of NPR. You could have done this. Well, either way, you said this changes the game, not just because it takes out a third of Russia's big Air
less than a
Force,
third, but yeah.
But mainly, I think you were saying it's their front line airplanes, right? These are the ones that they send into when they feel threatened, like your cruise missiles, your nuclear.
Exactly.
So that's why it's such a big deal, and that's why I think you were about to get to. Putin's like, oh, I got to change my strategy now because you just lost a bunch of key shit, bro.
Yeah. And the real crazy part is, why did they wait so long to do something like this? Right?
Probably to make sure it went off as well as it did, right?
Yeah, you got to have, of course, you need a lot of pre-pro,
Yeah.
a lot of pre-production.
That a lot of people, Cena and I are both in the video production game. A lot of people don't know that like 40 to 60% is pre-pro.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're on set for like 2 or 3 days.
Yep.
And then you're in post for the rest of it.
Exactly. And you got to do a lot of planning. But a year and a half is a long time. And obviously they took a good amount of time to do pre-pro. But in Istanbul this week, Ukraine and Russia met for ceasefire talks. And the Ukrainians did this attack 1 day before those ceasefire talks.
Ooh, brutal.
So you remember, do you remember?
I remember that. So there was a few weeks ago, Zelensky had showed up to a thing and Putin didn't show up, and then Trump didn't show up because Trump was like, I'm not showing up if Putin's not there. Putin's not there. Nothing's going to happen. And then Zelensky like went symbolically by himself. And maybe that's when in his mind he was like, I'm going to fuck them up so fucking hard, man.
Well, speaking of Trump, remember this?
You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look.
I don't have the cards.
You don't have the cards, and you don't ceasefire. He's doing like an impression of him.
He doesn't
All
have.
of Trump's impressions sound the same. It's just this voice. They all come to me. They say, "Sir, sir." My wife comes up to me. She says, "Sir." Sorry, that's my impression of a Trump impression.
Impression.
Very meta.
We're lost into it here.
Good grief.
But look, he said you don't have the cards.
You don't have the cards.
Now he's got the cards.
He's got the.
And
Zelensky's. I got the fucking cards.
He's got the
motherfucker."
cards.
Good for him.
So they went to these talks this week, and
How'd those go?
they lasted an hour.
Oh boy! You tell me now the Russians are mad?
Yeah, so they lasted an hour. They talked about an all for all prisoner exchange, which is not unheard of.
Sure.
But it lasted an hour, and what the message was clear. Like, we got cards, and they are really pushing Russia to come to the table for a ceasefire, and that's all well and good for Ukraine. A lot of pressure on Russia, but the question is, what is Putin going to do now?
Yeah, what does he do now?
And so Putin, how Putin started this war, he's like, okay, I've got more people, I've got more resources, we send oil and to Europe. Eventually, I'm going to win a war of attrition. Ukraine's way smaller.
Right.
All I got to do is stick this out.
Just keep going.
Keep going, and eventually the United States, which was already happening, and Europe will just be like, can we just
end it? Sign a deal.
You lose the territory. I don't care.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
And now Putin looks weak because he decided to do this war.
Weak.
He hates looking weak. He decided to get into this war.
He hate that.
And now he put everyone in Russia in an extremely precarious position. And he's definitely committed a ton of war crimes. He's attacked the civilian centers all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So he may just ramp up attacks. But Travis, here's the crazy thing.
Oh, no. Is he going to go full BB on him?
Well, was talking previously in the previous administration. One thing came up in Bob Woodward's book about Putin using a tactical nuclear weapon.
Ooh,
And so
that's bad.
that is bad.
Bad,
Now, there's everything I'm reading says he's probably not going to do that, and China doesn't want him to do that. But
right. China's a key ally of his right now.
it's about the only ally.
There you go. The only one that really matters.
Yeah, like North Korea will send a bunch of guys that have never seen the internet before,
Right.
but they'll get distracted by Hub. And so, can I even say that word on YouTube? I don't think so. We may have to bleep that out. I think
P-Hub.
P-Hub. Yeah, on the hub.
Yeah.
But now
That's their Baba Yaga. Didn't see that coming. Literally.
And so Putin his whole board game just got flipped over.
Flipping over the table.
It's wild to me.
Man.
And so 3.5 years he's been saying don't expand NATO, and now Finland's in NATO, and you got more border countries are joining NATO. No one's stopping doing anything that they were intending on doing.
Right.
And now, what do we have here in the process of all of this? Great for the Ukrainians, right? Sure. But what it says to me is this has changed war forever.
Right.
If you're
This tactic.
If you're a small country with a good number of nerdy technologists, you can command a swarm of drones that'll just blow stuff up. Like if you spend 100,000% less than the United States or Russia or China, you could make a difference. That's asymmetric warfare right there.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're a foreign policy show, but it reminds me of America's very first war, the Revolutionary War. The reason why the colonials were able to take on the great big red British army is because the British were marching rank and file down the streets, and then the revolutionaries would fire their muskets from the bushes and take a whole bunch of them out. It was guerrilla warfare at the time.
Yeah, all you got to do is just figure out the way that, you could gain an advantage, and this is a huge advantage. I can already see how this will change. I mean, we need, like, everyone's going to have a military-industrial complex. Like, there's going to be, like, a race war. There's going to be a weapons race happening in Europe. Yeah. But honestly, like, there's going to be a drone race. Like, these drones are going to be battling.
And that's exciting because that means all the military budgets can just come right down.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that'll happen.
Everyone can start finally just spending that money on food and education and healthcare.
Everything's going to become a tower defense game with just drones.
Wow.
Anyways, listen,
all right. Changing the game.
So that's the update on the drones.
Thank you.
The drone strike for the Ukrainians.
Thank you for the update.
Isn't
the
that
Baba
insane?
Yaga is coming for us all.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we got some more news stories from the world. This is the Foreign Report. I'm Sina Gazdavi, Travis Irvine. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Sina Gazdavi, Travis Irvine in the studio. We just talked about the Ukraine drone strike. I want to talk about another terrible person.
Oh, on the level of Vladimir Putin, huh?
Elon has left the White House, but
Woo!
he didn't leave quietly, Travis.
Doge finally worked, and they got rid of the least efficient person in the government.
Oh, my God.
Although he was never part of the government.
Of course. He efficiently is using drugs, though. He is using ketamine a bunch.
That's right. I've heard this report. He's in a K-hole.
And mushrooms and ecstasy.
Okay.
Which is that candy flipping when you do that? I can't remember what that's called.
There might have been a time at Bonnaroo I tried all of these things. But I was at Bonnaroo and not in charge of a government.
Sure, not in the Oval Office.
No, sir. I thought I was in the Oval Office sometimes.
As someone who has, I will not confirm or deny ever doing any of these things.
Me neither.
When you are like loosey-goosey with the neck and, looking up and...
And you're on television?
Yeah, right.
While the cameras are rolling? Yeah. You're in a K-hole, bro.
Yeah. And you're not, I don't want to hear anyone say it's the autism. No. Then you got an entire music scene that has autism. Okay?
Right.
It's like, that's not right. Okay? He resigned from his position this recently as the head of Doge. But on his way out, he said that this bill, the big
beautiful reconciliation bill,
is a disgusting abomination.
Oh.
And I think he has said like, oh, I'm going to spend all this time on Tesla, SpaceX, and XAI and stuff like that, which is great, fantastic, wonderful. You're awful. But he is, like, in that bill, there is language that says the electric vehicle tax credit goes away. Which would really affect his bottom line.
Because that's part of Biden's Green Deal.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
And I don't know how that's going to really affect his bottom line. Sales for Tesla are already down.
Sure.
I mean, it's like
people are protesting outside of Teslas because of everything this man has done to the federal government.
I mean, I got to have a sticker on my Tesla.
I saw that when Cena was on vacation.
Yeah.
I was house sitting and dog sitting, and upon going in your garage to retrieve those weights, those dumbbells, I got my workout in while I was at Cena's. I saw the sticker on your Tesla, and what does it say?
This Tesla does not endorse Musk.
What a great, useful sticker. Yeah. Because honestly, you see them everywhere in California.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that at least one of them is like, I don't support the guy.
Yeah, some of the ones I've seen have been like, I like the anti-Elon whatever party, and then there's the one where it's like, I bought this before we knew he was crazy.
Right.
And I think that one's I don't feel comfortable doing that one because I knew he was crazy.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't know he was like
that crazy.
That flavor. The Nazi flavor.
Roll your neck on TV.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send your heart out to millions.
To everyone. Twice. Multiple times.
The bill that he's talking about being an abomination, Travis.
The big, beautiful bill.
$2.4 trillion beautiful dollars to the deficit.
To the debt over 10 years.
Yeah.
And then, per year to the deficit. It just racks it up, right? Yeah. Because it's cutting taxes. But who's it cutting taxes for?
Oh, anyone making, I think, over $500,000.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I think it is unreal.
And then benefits for lower incomes, your social safety nets, your SNAPs, your
all that
food stamps, your Medicaids, everything.
I saw Speaker Johnson
cut
do a press conference, and he was like, "This is gonna supercharge the economy."
Oh yeah.
You have to cut before you could supercharge. Like you're just adding.
They do the whole trickle down thing from the Reagan days, where they're just like it trickles down, it's going to trickle down.
But they think
it's been 40 years. Where's it?
Trickle down is on cocaine, and it's not. Like it's going to trickle down so much.
Yeah. It's like if I work on the bottom level of Jeff Bezos' yacht, it might trickle down on me at some point.
It might, maybe.
He
may be trickling on you. A White House source said that Musk lashing out is because he's butthurt. What the?
Is that Stephen Miller's
this
words?
Is the most unserious White House.
Official statement from the White House. Oh, he butthurt.
Yeah. Is Holden McNeely at the White House? What is going on?
Now, that's actually, I would want to see that. I want to see that.
In charge of immigration, Holden McNeely?
Anything.
Check out Nerd of Mouth, by the way.
On
the last podcast.
If he's a spokesman, count me in.
Oh, my God. Okay, so that is going to be crazy. Let's move on.
We'll follow up.
We'll follow up. There's going to be more on that. We don't know what's going to happen with this bill.
Because he's gone away, but will he ever actually go away? I mean, like you just pointed out, the repercussions of everything, quote unquote, Doge has done is going to be felt by millions of Americans here in the next years and years.
Well, the influence is very real that he has just by, tweaking his algorithm. And he's even now tweaked Grok on Twitter to not say bad things about him.
That's great.
It's just insane. Update on Israel and Hamas. At least 50 Palestinians have been killed in the last few days by Israeli soldiers who opened fire on 2 occasions near an aid distribution center.
Good grief.
So Cindy McCain is the head of the World Food Program, and I saw her speaking recently, and she's like, this whole Hamas is taking the food is garbage. Israel is stopping the aid from coming in, and it needs to come in. Enough aid is not going in. And obviously, when you have just a little bit of aid going into a center like this, you're going to have hungry people going nuts over it.
Right.
And so they got them all, and these is just absolutely a mess. This particular aid drop was from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, an Israeli-run organization that requires Palestinians to walk miles through Israeli military lines to receive aid.
Good grief.
This is crazy. And then there's also UNRWA, which Israel said was part of the October 7th attacks. The UN did an investigation into UNRWA, by the way.
What is UNRWA?
The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East. And so they are basically, and they have been, the backbone of how aid gets into to the Palestinian people.
So this is a UN agency.
Yes.
And Israel's saying they're part of Hamas?
Yeah, they participated in October 7th. And so Israel says they had evidence of it and they proved it or whatever. The UN said, hey, we're going to do an investigation. Send us your evidence. Guess what Israel did? Never sent the evidence.
Oh.
And so UNRWA has lawyers now, they're suing. But like this is, when you take away these, and there's like, I think a broader point here is that aid should not be a bargaining chip.
Right.
It should not be this thing where they go to the table and they say, well, let's do this and then we'll allow aid in. That's like, if you're the occupying force, you let the aid in.
Yeah.
You have to.
That's
you are
kind of part of
responsible for it.
Right.
So, oh God, it's just a mess. There was an offer to have a ceasefire for 60 days.
Are they getting close?
No, because Hamas
man.
rejected that. They want a permanent ceasefire, or at least a 60-day ceasefire that continues as long as negotiations are happening. And as we talked about on, I think, 2 shows ago, one of the leaders of Hamas was very clearly saying, we don't want a short ceasefire if you're just going to come back and kill us in 2 months.
Right.
And so we'd like a permanent ceasefire.
Oof.
And so I think, you got to just stop. Somebody has to stop the killing.
So you're telling me we're 0 for 2 in ceasefire deals
Oh my God,
right
yes.
now in the
Oh,
recent weeks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. In other news, the U.S. nuclear deal with Iran. Okay, so...
You're laughing like it's funny. I sure am hoping there's some yucks coming here, man.
There are. I'm just thinking about, like, how they always, like, the Trump administration comes out in public and says, we're so smart. We're making these beautiful things. It's a
Beautiful
big, beautiful
deals, big,
deal.
beautiful deal.
These deals are great. This is awesome.
Elon's doing an incredible job.
The best thing that happens out of all of these deals, I mean, forget the Iran deal for a second, but all these deals that you keep hearing about when some deal happens or Syria gets sanctions lifted or someone's doing something nice for America, you know what ends up happening? A Trump golf course gets put into development
Oh my gosh.
in that country.
Wow. Trump Tehran Hotel. Big, beautiful.
God, please, no.
Everyone loves it.
Oh, God.
Great toilets.
So in this deal, and this is, again, a mess, the U.S. said that they would help build nuclear reactors and enrichment facilities that would be managed by other regional countries, which means the Arab countries,
Right.
the ones that Iran has been enemies with forever. It would also allow some level of uranium enrichment until the facilities are operational, but that is temporary. And once those facilities are up and running, Iran would have to agree to stop all domestic enrichment. The Islamic Republic of Iran responded and said that proposal is nonsense and called the American leaders rude and arrogant.
Ooh.
Which is, I think, somewhat of a compliment.
Wow. Yeah, wait a minute. That's actually nice.
Yeah, that's a compliment for them.
It makes them sound competent.
What? This is not going to work. What did they think was going to happen? They were just saying, like, we're going to hand, the Qataris and the Saudis the ability to just operate your enrichment your nuclear facilities.
Ugh. Doesn't seem like a good deal for them.
No.
Right.
This is going to end up, if they end up doing a deal, it's going to end up being, I would predict, exactly like
the Obama deal.
The Obama deal.
The terrible deal.
The terrible deal. Heavens.
But if we do it, great deal.
But one more story before we go to break. Pete Hegseth.
Oh, yeah.
Our
I
favorite
remember
person.
that guy.
Oh, my God.
He's in my group chat all the time.
Signalgate it has not totally gone away, but I'll tell you what definitely hasn't gone away. Pete Hegseth. He is still there, and
Yeah, he didn't leave. Everyone was like, you should leave. You should resign. Somebody should fire him. And then he's still there.
But here's the thing that's happening in the White House right now, Travis, is that there's that whole fracturing of the America First people and then the conservative hawks.
Yes.
And Mike Waltz.
And we've covered that.
Yeah, Mike Waltz was one of the conservative hawks. He apparently was talking on the side to Bibi about how to strike Iran. and Trump did not like that.
Wow.
So that's actually
so
the big
Walls
reason.
is the guy who they got rid of.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Out of all the people in the group chat. Hold on, let me check the group. Oh, Mike Walls has left the group chat. I wonder why.
And so Pete Hegseth now, in a move that continues to attack DEI as he does push-ups with Navy people,
Right.
he ordered the review of the names of certain Navy vessels. Names under consideration, and he already removed this one, Harvey Milk.
Oh.
So one of the ships is named Harvey Milk. That's gone. And so...
Why doesn't he like Harvey Milk?
I wonder why.
Because it's Pride Month?
I think so. Happy Pride. Go get them, guys. If you're in the LGBTQ community, get them.
Yeah, go get him.
Thurgood Marshall, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Harriet Tubman, Medgar Evers, and Cesar Chavez
Are you kidding
are
me?
all names under consideration.
That's
to
a
be
who's who
removed.
of great Americans I learned of in elementary school.
It's like you are like, can we Doge him? Because that is like the least efficient thing to do for time.
I want Elon to Doge Hegseth so bad. They could just have a Doge off. That'd be great. That's incredible. Those are big names. Thurgood Marshall, the first African American Supreme Court justice.
That's right.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, not the first female Supreme Court justice, but one of the most
best!
important. Yeah, definitely my favorite. Sorry, Sandra Day O'Connor. Harriet Tubman? What did Harriet Tubman ever do wrong besides be the most badass bitch of the 19th century?
Yeah.
Medgar Evers, of course. I thought Trump even pardoned Medgar Evers finally.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
maybe.
was like a posthumous pardon. And Cesar Chavez. There's a street named for him in every single major city I've lived in.
Well, there you go. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah, doing
The soldiers are really they're warrior mode now.
yeah. Instead of doing that, you should be investing in drones. Obviously, that's a much better investment.
All right, so that's a quick rundown of what's happening around the world. When we come back, Travis and I are going to talk about actually our real favorite person.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in this administration who really get us going.
Yeah, and JD Vance is one of them. We'll be right back with the JD Vance Corner. This is the Foreign Report. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Sina Ghaznavi, and Travis Irvine is with us. And every week, we like to have a little bit of time at the end of the show.
A little levity, as they say.
A little carve out for the most bumbling doofus of a vice president.
Which is saying a lot.
That's a lot to
We
say.
thought Dan Quayle was bad.
Potato. But yeah, no. This is going to be a mess. Travis, take us away into the world of JD Vance. What's happening with him right now?
Well, JD did not disappoint during our little break. The man, again, like we've covered, is the most unliked vice president in American history since they started keeping track. And I think one of the reasons we talk about him so much on this show, not just because it's hilarious objectively, he's very involved in foreign policy, right?
Yeah.
Every vice president has a project. Dick Cheney, go start wars, right?
Waterboard people.
Waterboard people.
Yeah.
Invent waterboarding. Make it mainstream and fun. Kamala Harris, border czar, but also
Oops.
talks about how she used to smoke weed.
Yeah. Oops.
I don't know. Dan Quayle, like we mentioned. Who knows what that guy did? Al Gore went and invented the internet.
Right.
Every Joe Biden cured cancer.
Right.
Every vice president has a project. JD's project is to go piss off everyone in the other countries on the planet. So JD Vance went to Ireland. Wonderful country. We all love Ireland, don't we, folks? Don't we, folks? We love our Irish. And JD, in his books, in his coming up story, has always described himself as a Scots-Irish hillbilly at heart.
What is a Scotch-Irish?
So again, it actually ties to something that this administration doesn't like, immigrants.
Oh.
When immigrants were coming to the newly formed United States of America, a lot of these Scotch and Irish immigrants would gravitate towards the Appalachian region. Maybe it's the geography, right? It's very green and hilly, kind of reminds them of home. But, a lot of the German immigrants kind of ended up more in your flat farm, what's now the farm areas of Indiana, Ohio. And the Scotch-Irish, for whatever reason, ended up in the Appalachians, which is where they became your hillbillies, and that's why they made their own whiskey in Tennessee and things like that, right? The Whiskey Rebellion, that's a whole fun piece of history. But JD Vance, as we all know, once he says he is something, like I'm a never Trumper, he's lying. Or he doesn't even really know what he's talking about. What happened was JD Vance actually somehow convinced the Irish government to do research into where his lineage comes from in Ireland, the Vance lineage. They assumed it was from Northern Ireland. So it was assumed that the Vance name comes from the lineage of Andrew Williamson Vance, who was born in Ireland in 1666, 666 for anyone listening on this network.
Perfect. Yep.
And he immigrated to the United States in 1733, who was also himself a descendant of Lancelot Vance, who died in the Siege of Derry and was the son of Reverend John Vance, who left Scotland for Ireland in 1611. This is where everyone was thinking this is where JD's lineage must come from. The problem is that there's no evidence of that whatsoever.
Wait, he just made it up?
He made it all up. There's an actual Vance family association in Ireland where they can trace their ancestry to settlers in Ulster in the 17th century, but it does not support the claims that Vance is linked to the very famous Reverend John Vance. All the DNA, all the actual scientific trails run cold by the time you get as far as the Andrew Vance, who came to America in 1733. So
wait, so not only can they not trace him back to this reverend, they can't even trace him back to Ireland.
Right, exactly. The one that actually came to America. There's a Vance family association in Ireland. They have no evidence.
This is the most excitement they've had ever.
And we are talking about government entities here. They actually had the Department of Communities in Ireland actually spend taxpayer money, Irish taxpayer money, on finding JD says it's true. We'll do some research and surely we'll find out.
Perfect
and then
fact check.
He can't even do that. The research results traced a potential link, but that, however, has gone nowhere. So they will eventually, they say, what they wanted to do was present JD Vance with an actual former, like a formal certificate of here's your lineage. Oh. And now that, of course, has been put on the back burner.
What's the equivalent of calling JD Vance Pocahontas?
Calling him a leprechaun. It's like saying you're a leprechaun and then, sir, you're not a leprechaun. So there you go. Just more evidence of JD saying shit that ain't true.
Oh, JD.
And
good one, buddy. Good one, JD.
Good one. Speaking of which, since you just did a very funny German accent, this would be a fun another one to jump to. The Trump administration is now emerging as a staunch defender of Germany's far-right AfD.
Didn't see this coming.
Political party. I know, believe it or not.
Super surprised.
And guess who is taking the charge in the Trump administration of supporting this far-right political party?
Mr. Leprechaun.
It's the leprechaun of the Trump administration. And he, of course, has come forward. Now, we all know there is a far-right movement growing in many countries all around the world, right? Mm-hmm. Hungary has one, France, Italy. But Germany, it's a little different there because they used to have a real Nazi party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like decades and decades ago. And they did some bad stuff. So you would think when any semblance of a new Nazi party or neo-Nazi party, in this case, the current one is called the Alternative for Germany.
Oh, it sounds so quaint.
AfD for short. They have started to emerge as a political party in Germany, and JD Vance and his buddy Secretary of State Marco Rubio have criticized the German government's efforts to isolate and investigate AfD for neo-Nazi ties, obviously, and saying that they shouldn't persecute a rival political group. So, of course, in their minds, they're saying it's equivalent to when, let's say, the deep state was coming after the Trump campaign in 2016. That's what they're comparing it to. So Vance actually said, and this is so bonkers to me that he goes over to Europe and he says things and people have to repeat it and like it's news. But he said it's one thing to say that a particular set of views is gross, quote, or somehow outside the Overton window, like he even knows what that is, outside the bounds of reasonable discourse. Vance said in an interview last week or the other week in Rome when he was attending Pope Leo's inaugural mass, where Pope Leo doesn't even like him. Hello. I think that is the very, very dangerous to use the neutral institutions of state, the military, the police forces, the intel services to try and delegitimize another competing political party. I think that's especially true when that political party just got second in an election, true, and is, depending on which poll you believe, either the most popular or the second most popular party. So that is what is happening on the German front.
There is like a good point here in the sense of the people are voting for this.
These parties are emerging, right? Marie Le Pen and her party in France. The current Italian prime minister is part of a more far right. But a lot of these, again, they're isolationists. Maybe they're anti-immigrant.
Yeah, of course.
Every single country seems to have that type of political party. It's just the fact that in AfD, you're in Germany.
Yeah.
And you're espousing some very peripheral Nazi-like shit. And it hits a little differently there. And for us to be going out there and actively supporting, yes, a political party that's winning, let's just say it raises the eyebrows a bit.
They learn about it in a different way, over there. They get taught about it in school, why it was bad, why they all have, dealt with it mostly well. I think you're in a same situation here where economic reasons, you had a flood of immigration and stuff like that. And then you have the media, social media, and the internet polarizing people at the same time. I remember years ago, my sister-in-law, they were working at Stuttgart in Germany.
I love a good Stuttgart.
And I went and saw...
Especially with coffee.
I saw some movie at a German theater there. And one of the trailers was for the new season of Man in the High Castle.
Ooh,
the show about the Nazis.
Yeah.
Where if the Nazis won. And I was with Cosmo, my wife, and the trailer comes on, and it's all Germans in the theater. And me, I was just not one to sit still.
It's like, woo!
I was looking around. I was like, what else? Are they? Why are everyone's so quiet?
Right.
Everyone's sitting still. They're not saying anything. I was like, is this crazy?
Yeah.
No one moved.
They're just
Cosmo moved to tell me to sit down and stop making a scene.
She's like, what's everyone doing?
I was like, y'all feel weird, right?
This is you guys.
This is you. This is so strange.
There's white guilt and then there's German guilt.
Oh, that's a deep guilt.
Yeah. Well, Vance did say similar things about this political party, which we covered back in February, right? When he chastised German leaders at the Munich Insecurity Conference, as we deemed it.
That was back in February?
That was back in February.
It's June?
Yeah, these last few months have been a long few years.
I have aged so much.
We all have. Act accordingly.
Oh, God.
So the AfD, he just says, yes. He presents it, though, as you should let them talk. You should let them... be a free political party, and that's all good and well, but it is just another situation when the administration of the United States starts to, I think, almost endorse this political rhetoric. And yes, they got second place in the recent elections, but it's like, if you're trying to bump them, if you're trying to give them a bump to get first, it's a little questionable.
It's a huge problem.
Yes, absolutely. So there is JD pissing off people in Ireland and Germany, but don't you worry. There's another way that he's pissing more people off.
Oh, my God.
And he's doing it right here at home. JD Vance used to have a campaign plane and where he used to say a lot of anti-immigrant things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Because, they're anti-immigrants, sure. He would wear plaid. He'd wear jeans. He's a regular guy. Now it carries shackled deportees.
Oh, my God.
Outside.
What?
Yes. So you may know about this little thing that the Trump administration has deemed called ICE Air.
Oh, God.
That's where they put a bunch of immigrants that they deem illegal. Whether or not that's true, we don't know.
They have not been tried.
They're not getting their due process.
Yeah.
And they get put on a plane and they get flown to somewhere, but sometimes, more often than not where they're actually from originally. So JD Vance crisscrossed the whole country in this plane. It's a Boeing 737 that he would travel around, and it's now being used to deport immigrants. It's made at least 16 flights now. to Central and South American countries to deport immigrants this year. This comes from our friends of the Arizona Mirror down in, you guessed it, Arizona. And from publicly available data, they have actually found that this old plane, it's like a 22-year-old jet at this point, is actually part of the fleet of planes known as Ice Air that swiftly shuttles immigrants out of the United States to wherever they're not.
Well, these are
actually
renditions. These are we can't even call these deportations because that's a process. There's a due process involved with that. It's unreal.
Yes.
This is like when we were like you put the black bag over your head and take you to Gitmo.
Yeah.
This is what's happening to these folks, and these are also, I'm guessing, the planes where they're trying to run faster than the court orders that are coming down to tell them to stop.
And what's faster than a 22-year-old 737 Boeing that used to carry JD Vance's fat ass? You know what I mean? God. The 4 missions have consisted of 3 removal flights to El Salvador and Guatemala. And during these 4 missions, in 2018, when the plane was first used, so this is what's so bonkers, is they used this plane for this back in the first Trump administration. Then it became a campaign plane, and now they're flipping it back to be part of the fleet of Ice Air. But in that time, it's carried out between 456 and 504 passengers, according to ICE passenger data, which is just what are the condiments like there?
I don't know.
On Ice Air is like, can I get more water with this ice?
Yeah, with this slice of bread.
Please.
Jeez, oh my God. What's the frequent flyer miles?
And also, we were talking about a few weeks ago the Qatari plane.
Yeah.
That's got to get billions of dollars of retrofitting done to it to go from a palace in the sky to a palace for a big fat orange idiot in the sky. What's the retrofitting from an ICE plane in the first administration to a campaign plane? So is JD getting the same slice of bread?
I think someone left a shackle here. I think this is...
Unless he's using those shackles for fun purposes, which we all know he's not.
It's definitely not.
This is just more bonkers shit from this bonkers administration and a bonkers vice president who continues to confuse and disappoint. Dare I say, as a fellow Ohio native.
Dare.
JD, please do better. Or, just next time you go to a foreign country, just stay there. Maybe they just keep you there.
Alrighty.
Maybe they fly him out on Ice Air.
What a beefy JD Vance corner.
This is what happens. I remember when we had Marcus on the show a few weeks ago, there was like nothing JD had done. I mean, he had just murdered the Pope and dropped a trophy, and then the new Pope... Unalived, sorry. But the new Pope didn't like him, and I was very excited. Yeah, he did maybe commit murder. I'm just saying. But then, he took like a couple weeks off from doing stuff, and then I come back, and it's just JD. It's just a treasure trove of madness that they create. So he hasn't been doged yet, so I'm sure we'll have more JD news still to come.
He still is doing all the things that Trump loves, so it'll be interesting to see if Trump turns on him. I mean, Pence lasted all the way until January 6th. So.
Right, I know. That's like a record. We did cover JD got sent to Greenland as almost like a
little punishment.
A little punishment for piping up in the Signal group chat. But he didn't get doged. Mike Walls, the only guy who got doged from that whole Signalgate thing. So JD is still at it. And more importantly, who the hell knows where he comes from? I don't even know anymore. He ain't Irish, I'll tell you that much.
Check his birth certificate. Anyways, I'm Cena Gadsby for Travis Irvine. Make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, on everywhere you get your podcasts. What am I missing? Sign up for our newsletter. Send us an email, theforeignreportlpn@gmail.com.
YouTube.
And the YouTubes. Everywhere, folks. We are everywhere. Let us know how you're feeling, what you're thinking about the show. We'll be back next week.